Hey guys, this is Podfic, and today we're going to be reading Glowsticks and Bullet Holes by Hyperius. This is Chapter 3. Hal woke up to screaming, jerking awake and ring flying onto his finger as his uniform stretched over his body. He moved before he was thinking, kicking in his own room door to find out where the screaming was coming from. He looked around frantically, spotting Red Hood on his couch, looking every bit like a tormented ghost wailing for a savior who'd never arrive. Except this wasn't Red Hood, it was Jason Todd. He looks plagued, eyes scrunched and sweat covering his body, hands scratching at air, and breaths hardly being taken in. It was heartbreaking, watching the kid look as if he was fighting the world, his very soul to live. Don't get him wrong, Hal has nightmares too, but never has it been a fight for survival within his own mind. And he's a grown-ass man. He thought Jason was an adult. He was Red Hood after all. But seeing him on the couch now, he must not be over 20. He's a child, relatively speaking, a baby. He's too young to have dreams as such, too young for that type of trauma and fear. It broke his heart. Hal knew better than to wake a hero having a nightmare, but he couldn't not do anything. He couldn't just watch Jason's mind torture himself. So he laid a hand on Jason's shoulder, and immediately Jason reacted, jerking awake with a terrorized cry, fist swinging up into a protective position, as if he was preparing to be hit, to be beaten, and Hal had to bite his tongue. This was more than the simple trauma of a hero. This is trauma from abuse. From patterned beatings. Fuck. Jason stared up at the lantern, eyes wide, before he slowly processed the fact it was Hal, and not Joker, not Willis, not a stranger from the streets, and he took a deep breath and forced his breathing to calm, forced his mind to stop racing. Sorry, did I wake you? Jason's voice was hard, cracking a bit as he spoke. Hal shrugged. A little. You okay? Yep, fine. Hal knows a lie when he sees one, and this one was so very painfully obvious. Totally fine, just edging into a panic attack, right? Jason let out a wet huff. The hell do you want? That's a rude way to talk to somebody trying to help you. Hal sat on the couch beside Jason, flipping on the TV to some soap opera that's always on at God knows too early in the morning. It's my favorite show. Oh. I won't make you talk, but it's nice to have distraction. Hal got it. Knows as much as talking helps, it can hurt. And he's not nearly as emotionally constipated as the bats. He can't even imagine how uncomfortable talking about anything would be for Jason, especially when it's most likely such intimate traumas. Jason nodded, silent for a long time, before finally speaking. You get nightmares? All the time. All heroes do, Hal is sure. They can't fight what they fight and lose as many people as they do without suffering some form of mental consequences. With a small nod, Jason looked over at Hal, and the lantern suddenly felt like he was being stripped bare. Every layer of psychological protection ruthlessly broken down at Jason's leisure, allowing the other man to see him. In the few seconds Jason looked him over, Hal felt like the bat took in his every weakness, every lie, every truth he has hidden, and took it all in. Hal has hardly ever felt so vulnerable. Whatever really happened, whatever Jason saw, seemed to work as the boy seemed satisfied, and he finally relaxed into the couch. You get it. Get it? Get what? Yeah, a lot of people think they get it, but they don't. Few people really honestly get it. Hal was confused. He stared at Jason, mouth opening and closing before his thoughts finally caught up to his mouth. You gotta give me more to work with. I get... Jason looked back over at Hal, a type of sadness in his eyes that Hal did understand all too well. Dying? Oh yes, Hal almost forgot. This little bird died horribly, brutally. It nearly tore Batman apart. No, not nearly. It did. If Clark wasn't there to talk Bruce down, to sit beside him as he cried, to stay up all too late into the night and rush to Gotham to ensure Bruce didn't do anything stupid, Hal was almost certain someone, Joker, would have been murdered. Hal had to wonder how much the Robin remembered about his death, how much he remembered after coming back. Except he really didn't have to wonder, because he knows, he gets it. The other remembers dying, truly dying. Hal remembers too. The pain, but God, Jason went through so much more pain. But the pain, the thoughts flashing through their mind before blinking out, the last bits of hope they won't have to die alone, hope someone would care, and the resignation of knowing no one will be there, no one will be coming, the sorrow of dying alone, of dying with no one to hold your hand or smile, to reassure you everything will be okay, which was so much worse than any of the prior physical pain. It's something Hal would wish on no one, especially not a child. This boy was a child, now, and when he died, God, Hal didn't even want to imagine the everything. But he does. He gets it. Yeah, I get it. Hal gave Jason's shoulder a little reassuring squeeze, and for the rest of the night, they sat in a comforting, understanding silence. The sun rays began to shine through the window and through it, and though it was still much too early for Hal's preference, he knew better than to think any more sleep will be had tonight. Jason fell into a nice doze, somewhere between sleep and wakefulness. The lantern didn't want to disrupt him, as this is probably the best sleep the kid's going to get for a while. So he carefully made his way from the couch and into the kitchen. He silently pulled out eggs and a pan, setting about to make some breakfast. Just 'cause he doesn't cook doesn't mean he can't. He can, not nearly as good as Jason, admittedly, but he can make some badass scrambled eggs. As the aroma of cooked eggs began to waft through the air, Jason finally began to wake. He groaned, blinking his eyes warily and sniffing the air. Food? Hal chuckled. It was kind of cute seeing Jason not fully awake, eyes still partially glazed with sleep and words slurred as he tried to speak. The lantern brought over the plate and set it down in front of Jason. Here you go. With another sleepy blink, Jason looked down at the eggs. You can cook. Hal smiled. Yep. But you still eat that shitty ramen. Yes? Jason shook his head and let out a little indignant puff, finally starting to properly wake. What the hell is wrong with you? Nothing. What the hell? Cooking took a lot of work and time, and usually Hal doesn't care enough to actually put in the effort. Jason, to his surprise, was worth the effort. At least this morning, and maybe he felt a little bit of pride when Jason smiled happily after taking the first bite of eggs. He knew he cooked well, and it was nice to see someone other than him appreciate the food. Around a mouthful of eggs, Jason spoke. Don't you gotta go to work? With a shake of his head, Hal sat beside Jason and started eating his own breakfast. I took the day off. Why? I was thinking it'd be smart to take today to go over hero stuff. And make sure Jason is okay, except he knows better than to tell the boy he's doing that, essentially babying him. He's not stupid enough to think Jason wouldn't put a bullet in his head for doing so blame vigilante stuff. Maybe secretly take an easier day while looking into Black Mask and Lex. Maybe go on patrol and start doing some of their stakeouts, but nothing else. Today, Hal decided, is a bro-bonding day. I want you to tell me more about this mask fella, and then we can make a plan. You want to make a plan? Don't sound so shocked. I don't just go guns blazing into every situation. This disbelieving smile told everything, and Hal couldn't stop his own smile from spreading across his face. Yeah, Hal thinks. He's making the right decision. Alright guys, and that is the end of chapter 3 of Glowsticks and Bullet Holes by Hyperius. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next chapter.